All right, we're gonna go ahead and move this data party forward, and we're going to move on to the one and only Bernard Marr. He's the founder and CEO and author at Bernard Marr and Co. Today, he's going to talk to us about transformation and DATAcation of the energy sector. He gets bonus points for throwing the word DATAcation into his title. A brief intro here for those who might not know him. Bernard Marr is a world-renowned futurist, influencer, and thought leader in the field of business and technology. He's the author of 18 best-selling books. He writes a regular column for Forbes and advises and coaches many of the world's best-known organizations. He has 2 million social media followers and was ranked by LinkedIn as one of the top 5 business influencers in the world. I actually personally met Bernard Marr when I was reading one of his many, many books. I was reading Data Strategy, and I remember I reached out to him to thank him. And yes, we've been connected ever since. Definitely could recommend his Data Strategy book to anybody who wants to learn how to build an effective data strategy. All right, without further ado, here is Bernard Marr. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you so much for having me. What a great job you're doing again with another amazing conference.
Thank you so much, Bernard. I won't take up more of your time. I'm hopping off stage and it's all yours. I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Very good. No worries. Thank you, Kate. Hi, everyone. When Kate asked me to which topic I wanted to present on today, I could have easily spoken on all key topics, but for me, anyone who's read anything that I write about, I'm super passionate, obviously, about data and technology, but I'm also really passionate about using this amazing technology that we now have, using AI and machine learning and all the data we have to do things that actually really matter to our world. And for me, the two topics that are probably most important for me personally that are covered in this conference are healthcare, which is obviously super important, especially in times of Corona. But for me, energy is even more important because I believe that the energy crisis, the global climate crisis that the world is facing at the moment could very easily dwarf what we are currently experiencing with the coronavirus pandemic. And for me, if we can use these amazing tools that we have, and if we can use data to tackle one problem, then for me, it has to be energy. And for me, our traditional ways of generating energy are exploitative, they are unsustainable, and they're designed for a world of the past. And it's no exaggeration to say that I consider transforming the energy sector to be one of the most important challenges we face in the world. And this means we need to use the data capabilities, the data science skills, and the technology capabilities we have to tackle this. And I believe we will achieve this energy transition that is required by tackling three key main issues. One is decarbonization. So we need to transition towards a clean, carbon-free world, largely by increasing the use of renewables, and also making us increasingly aware of the premiums that come with using fossil fuels. So there's the first challenge there. The second area we need to tackle is a massive challenge of decentralization. We need to create distributed energy production. So instead of these highly centralized grids that we are currently using, we need to distribute this. We need to bring into all of the renewable energy sources, whether they are solar panels on our roofs or wind farms and all of this. And this is a big challenge. How do we feed this back into the grid? How do we distribute this in the most efficient way? And the third one is digitization or datafication. And this is all about using digital machines, devices, and technology to optimize energy production, infrastructure, and the use of energy. And think of this as the intelligent energy. And for me to realize this vision of smarter, more diverse energy grids, we need intelligent devices and technology that help us, A, to communicate with the grid so demand can be monitored and managed, and B, help us all reduce our energy consumption. So these are the things we need to do. And sometimes we talk about energy 4.0. And for me, the things that we can actually leverage are things like artificial intelligence and predictive analytics to analyze and predict demand, adjust where power is drawn from on the distributed grid, and predict equipment failures. And GE, for example, uses AI to predict failures ahead of time at their wind and solar plants, for example. Another key thing we can use is the Internet of Things, and in particular, the use of smart home thermostats and home energy management systems, such as Google Nest, which is helping consumers to cut their energy usage and heat their homes or cool their homes more efficiently. Another key technology for me is blockchain. So from secure smart contracts to facilitating the distributed networks, blockchains could be really transformative technology for the energy sector. In one example, one example comes from a Turkish startup. They're called BlockZ, and their blockchain technology enables anyone to access economical, transparent, and traceable green electricity. So this is another key challenge. It's not all we have to obviously electrify our grid, but we also have to make sure that the electricity we use then to power things like our cars and homes in the future has to be green energy, and blockchain technology enables us to do this. And then we have quantum computing. So the sheer power of quantum computers is ideally suited to solving the unique and vast challenges facing the energy sector. As an example, US-based startup QCware, for example, provides quantum computing solutions to help optimize energy use, including energy prediction and demand management. And then we have things like digital twin technology. So we have advanced digital duplicates of real world objects, systems, or processes. And by using information gathered from IoT sensors in the real world, organizations can then model changes and try them out in their digital twins without making expensive or high risk alterations to the real life counterpart. And BP, for example, uses digital twins to model new oil field productions, for example. And in another example, MHPS, Tomoni's digital twin technology can create a virtual replica of a power plant or even entire grid. So for me, these are hugely important challenges we are facing. And I have worked with a number of companies in the energy sector. One of my long-standing clients is Shell, and I've actually designed their data strategy. Kate mentioned my book, Data Strategy. So Shell is one of the case studies in the book. And I'm just currently writing a second edition of that book that should come out later this year, with many updates around the latest use of AI across really all industries. And well, I thought I'd share some of the things that we did in Shell to really drive their data agenda. And whenever I help companies develop a data strategy, we look at some of the key elements in your organization, or the key use cases where data can make a real difference. The first one is to improve decision making across the business. So this is all about finding the best ways to use data to inform any type of decision making. So what you need is you need to improve the data literacy across the organization. You need to have the right culture in place, and the right data in place, the right quality of data, and the right infrastructure. And when this was identified as a key use case in Shell, and they wanted to really improve the use of data across their entire organization, right from the top of the organization for the most strategic decision making, right to anyone using any data. And one of the challenges they saw is that there was not enough data literacy in their organization. So they partnered with companies like Udemy to create a customized data literacy course for anyone in Shell, and they gave everyone the opportunity to take part in this. They also tackled organizational culture. One of the job roles they put in place was a data translator. So this was a person that sits between the data science team and the business functions, then help communicate both ways. So they help the businesses understand how they can use better data, what systems are available, what data is available, how they can analyze it. And they also work with the data science team to help them better communicate and tell stories around the data and the insights that they've collected. They also hold these regular data hackathons, which I think is a really good idea. They even, during lockdown, run these virtually, where basically anyone in the business can come to this hackathon and say, oh, this is a challenge I have with my data, this is with my business. Can we use data to help us do something with this? And then you have data science team members in this hackathon that then can help you tackle some of those challenges. And of course, in order to make all of this happen, we need to have the right data in place. We need to have the right technology infrastructure in place. So Shell moved to a big Azure data lake. Before they had so many diverse data sets, now they're pulling it all into one data lake. They have some good data visualization and data analytics platforms on top, things like Alteryx and Tableau that can enable them to extract insights from this data. So this is for me the first use case. Another really important use case is to understand customers. And again, what Shell is doing is they're using AI to monitor and predict the demand for electrical charging terminals. So they are now creating a complete new infrastructure to make sure they are ready for electric cars. And they want to make sure that this is all optimized. So they want to understand the usage throughout the day, so they can then supply the power efficiently and effectively to make sure all of these smart data grids are these smart energy grids are actually working well. Another key use case is around rethinking your products and services and making them smarter. And companies like GE are working on this Internet of Energy, where they're almost trying to find a digitization of the energy to really understand how the energy is flowing through the system. In Shell's case, they now have more intelligent charging stations, for example. But also companies like Nest are supplying or creating smarter products in this space. Another massive use case for Shell and another key use case for anyone thinking about the use of data is smarter operations, where you really reimagine how you run your business. And in Shell, this includes existing infrastructure, so where they're still trying to find more precise drilling routes using AI, where they use predictive maintenance on their existing infrastructure, where they're monitoring security. So they're using things like machine vision on their forecourts in a number of countries to detect that someone might be doing something they shouldn't be doing, things like smoking, for example, and then an automatic announcement can come up saying you shouldn't really smoke near flammable liquids. But in Shell's case, they've looked at other cases where they're now using AI and data analytics in their contracts, for example. So their lawyers in the past spent a lot of time going through contracts, making sure the contract adhered with their policy. They need to identify specific paragraphs in the contract that they wouldn't want to sign. Nowadays, this is all outsourced to AI, so natural language processing is using it. And the last use case is monetization, where you think, but how can we actually make use of this? And I guess Google is a great example of this, of companies that try to monetize their data that they're getting back from the energy space.
Bernard, Marr, sorry to interrupt you here. I want to make sure we have a couple minutes for maybe one or two questions. First of all, thank you so much for the presentation. The audience is really excited to have you here. A lot of folks already know you clearly from your newsletter, from your your books, from your Forbes articles, and so forth. So let's try to take maybe one or two questions, if that's okay with you. We'll go ahead and start here. The question is, do you believe that data governance and security is a continually increasing challenge, especially in the energy sector?
Yes, hugely. And this is actually one of the points I could have spent a lot more time on each of these topics. And actually, when you think about using data for any of this, you need to have a good data governance structure in place and good policies, and making sure the data is safe and secure and you have the right access rights. And Shell spent a lot of time when they created their data lake to make sure this was in place. So for every bit of data, they thought about this very carefully, saying, why do we need this data? Who will need access to this data? How do we protect this data? Does it adhere to all privacy and data security requirements? And this is absolutely hugely important. So, and I guess the pipeline issue that we've just experienced in the US is a reminder that security is hugely important and can never be underestimated. So yes, is the answer.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. And we'll take one more question here. It's around HVAC industries and how can they utilize blockchain technology in growing market acceptance?
Yeah, I think there's so many different industries that can leverage blockchain technology and potentially transformative, especially around, for me, again, lots of different industries are now applying this, from retail to financial services, obviously to energy. And I think especially the validation of where green energy comes from, because I can subscribe to a green energy supplier. The energy still comes to the same system, the same grid. So how do I make sure that this is actually verified? So this is, I think, a big use in the energy sector, as well as smart contracts. I think is another big use case for blockchain technology.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Bernard. Definitely people are loving your presentation, saying this is really insightful. Yes, another one saying it's really insightful. Absolutely. Always a pleasure to have you at the DATAcated Conference, and really thank you so much for your time here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Bernard
much.
is DATAcated. I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much.